This November 2nd NBA Betting Picks edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/SGPN and use code SGPN for a first deposit match of up to $100. Roster brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for player props, parlays, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com and use promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. Plus, the MMA Gambling Podcast just launched their YouTube channel. To celebrate, we're giving away a MMA Gambling Podcast hoodie. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/MMA hoodie for all the details. Welcome, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Thursday, November the 2nd, currently 11:03 on the East Coast. Here to get into the four-game schedule on the Thursday NBA docket. And joining me here to help me break it all down, you guys know him as the Rich Fat Baby. It's Ryan McKee. McKee, how's it going, man? How you doing?
Dude, I'm so good. I was in a serious depression after the Suns gave up that Spurs game on Tuesday, but I'm bouncing back today. I'm ready to go. I had a good night last night betting, so feeling good. Feeling better. Had a horrible Tuesday, better Wednesday, man.
Oh, yeah, I had a pretty bad Tuesday. Bounced back nicely as far as my sides and totals went yesterday. Player props last 2 days haven't been the greatest. I mean, Monday was really good for me on player props, but hopefully we can bounce back here tonight. I mean, you mentioned it. I wanted to talk to you about it. I know the Spurs and the Suns are playing, in, I guess, not consecutive nights, but the 2 night or second time in as many as 3 nights. But
yeah, I think they call it a duplex.
Yeah, yeah, we'll call it a
when
duplex.
when they play like twice in 1 week. I don't know why. That's just something I read. I'm pretending like I know.
But hey, we'll call it a duplex because they're going to be in a revenge spot here, I guess we can say, or trying to avenge the loss that they had. They led for 59 minutes and 58 seconds.
I actually have that stat. They led for 47 minutes and 45 seconds on Tuesday.
Okay, there we go.
And they still lost.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. But hey, look, the good news is you get to get right back. You get to make amends, I guess we can say, for the team here tonight. But we'll get to that game later. But McKee, anything that stood out for you as far as the Wednesday card? My Rockets pick up their first victory last night. That feels good. I don't know if it was just bad defense by the Charlotte Hornets, or this is maybe the team we're expecting to see from the Rockets, or maybe a little bit of combination of both. But yeah, the Rockets pick up their first victory. I think they dropped 25 or 130 points last night, but they get their first victory. Battle of LA last night went into overtime.
Yeah, that's the one I was gonna say really stood out. I mean, LeBron, look at him. I mean, just looks like peak LeBron again, like when he's going against somebody like Kawhi and PG-13. I mean, they were down by 20 at one point in that game, battled all the way back, led by LeBron. I mean, that was just a sick game last night. And I had the Clippers plus 5.5, so got the spread. But I thought, that was already one I was counting up as a win, like in the first half, and I shouldn't have been because LeBron had other ideas.
The Lakers, I should say, have really gone off the slow starts in the first half. But I think, it was against the Phoenix Suns. They came back in the fourth quarter, won that game. Last night was another example of them coming back in the second half, in particular in the fourth quarter. So I think that for this Lakers team to have some consistency, I think they need to start playing better. I know they probably do recognize that, hey, we need to get off to better starts and not put ourselves in a hole in the first half. But again, like you mentioned, LeBron at 38 years old is just, like you mentioned, looks like he's peak LeBron out there. I mean, what he finished up with last night?
I mean,
38?
I guess he picks his spots, right? He doesn't play. Yeah, he didn't play as well in the first half, and then he just really turned it on for the second half. And he can't do that maybe for a full game anymore. But boy, he looked great last night in that second half.
35 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists last night for LeBron James. Kawhi Leonard chipped in with 38 points and 35 by Paul George. So those two guys combined for 73. Russell Westbrook also had 24 points last night, 11 rebounds and 8 assists. Anthony Davis finished with a double-double as well, just like LeBron did. 27 points, 10 rebounds to go along with 4 blocks and 1 steal for the LA Lakers. And also D'Angelo Russell, probably his best game, at least scoring and being efficient from the floor. He finished up with 27 points on 10 of 19 shooting last night for the Lakers. So a good game last night in the card there. I think the other surprise here for me last night, McKee, was the Milwaukee Bucks, man, getting absolutely like pounced by the Toronto Raptors.
And I did have the Bucks.
I did too,
minus the points, and yeah, that was a really surprise for me as well. I mean, the Raptors are playing again tonight, so we're going to be talking about them. But what did you see? I didn't really keep a strong eye on that game, but I was watching the points, but I didn't watch the game actually.
I think it was just from the tip that the Toronto Raptors just came out and, I mean, took care of business. They outscored the Milwaukee Bucks, and traditionally Milwaukee has been a really good first quarter team. But the Raptors were up 31-18 at the end of the first quarter. They also took a 20 plus point lead into halftime. And after that was pretty much it for the Milwaukee Bucks. But Giannis, 28 minutes last night, only was 5 of 11 from the floor and finished up with 4 rebounds. Chris Middleton only played 17 minutes. Brook Lopez only played 17 minutes. Damian Lillard, 31 minutes last night. He led the team in minutes last night. But give a lot of credit to the Toronto Raptors, man. They played some great basketball last night. I know, like you mentioned, they are in action again here tonight. We'll get to that game here in a minute. But I think that was the only one in. And then, I mean, we were remiss not to talk about Boston putting up 155 points last night against the Indiana Pacers. No, this did not go into overtime. This does not go into overtime, but a 51-point victory last night for the Boston Celtics, McKee.
I mean, yeah, what was the spread on that? Like 11 and a half?
I think it closed around 11 and a half. Yeah.
And I was nervous about taking that 11 and a half, but I ended up doing it just because the Celtics have been so good. And the Indiana, they looked great in the first couple of games, but looked bad in their last game. So, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with Indiana. Because that first game, I remember talking about this last week. That first game, they put up 143 points or something like that. That was one of the things that stood out to us. But yeah, I mean, they just look like a junior league team against AAU team against the Celtics.
Yeah, I think it was right up until game time that Halliburton was ruled out, I believe, with the ankle injury. But I think that even if he did play, I don't think it would really matter for this Pacers team. I mean, this Boston team is just.
I mean, maybe they would have scored some more points, but I don't think they would have stopped the Celtics from putting up that many points.
No starter last night played more than 27 minutes last night for the Boston Celtics. I mean, they took care of business in 3 quarters, scored at least 30 points in all 4 quarters. They scored 44 in the first quarter and 46 in the fourth quarter. And they are now a perfect 4-0 on the season, 2-0 at home are the Boston Celtics. McKee, anything else from last night that stood out to you?
No, I'm ready to talk about tonight's games, baby.
All right, before we get into the games for tonight on the Thursday schedule, let me tell everyone about PrizePicks. With the basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League, a league created specifically for combo projections that includes 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. So, for example, if you want to get on LeBron's points and you want to get on Travis Kelce's receptions, well, you can do that over at PrizePicks. Again, a lot of fun, great different combinations that you can do over with PrizePicks. And you also can play alongside some of PrizePicks' favorite players like rapper Meek Mill, comedian Andy Schultz. You can now find the community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the PrizePick community each week. PrizePick also offers a reboot policy so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. For basketball and football games, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second half, that player is rebooted. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an with an injury insurance policy. So go to PrizePicks.com and go to PrizePicks.com/SGPN, but make sure to use that code SGPN for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's prizepicks.com/SGPN. And make sure to use that promo code SGPN for a first deposit match of up to $100. We're also brought to you by the MMA Gambling Podcast Contest. The MMA Gambling Podcast just launched their own YouTube channel. In honor, we're giving away a MMA Gambling Podcast hoodie to one lucky winner. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/MMA hoodie. Submit your entry today and make sure you subscribe to the MMA Gambling Podcast on YouTube. All right, McKee, it's a 4-game schedule here tonight. Let's just dive right into it, my friend. The first game on the board is going to be the Toronto Raptors, who we just talked about. They are headed to Philadelphia to take on the Philadelphia 76ers. Currently, this line is sitting in favor of the Philadelphia 76ers -9 with a total of 215.5. Let's take a look at the injury report here for both of these teams. Not yet one submitted for the Toronto Raptors because they did play last night. They do get extra time to submit that injury report. And for the Philadelphia 76ers, after the trade that did transpire with James Harden earlier this week, Nicholas Batum is out for this game, but everybody else is a go for this game. One note that I should make here is that PJ Tucker was the starter for the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, what I read was Kelly Oubre is going to step into that starting lineup in place of PJ Tucker. So that's something to keep in mind here. McKee, both of these teams just played earlier this week where the Philadelphia 76ers went into Toronto and won that game 114-107. Now Toronto on a back-to-back where their starters didn't play a lot of minutes. But, hey, I think the storyline of this game is Nick Nurse going up against his former team as he is now the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. What are you thinking about this game?
Love this game for the 76ers right now. Obviously, the Raptors are on a back-to-back. That's tough flying from Toronto today, even though that's not like a long flight to Philadelphia. That still seems like a lot. The stat I read that I really like, so right now the Raptors are putting up 105.6 points per game so far this season, while the Sixers are putting up 119. But more importantly, this Philadelphia last season against the spread was 36-12-1 when its opponents scored fewer than 112.9 points. So if they can keep the Raptors under 112, which it seems like they should be able to just based off of that, that's a great trend against the spread. So really liking the 76ers with that Raptors team coming off of a back-to-back.
Yeah, I think early on in the season, I think I've been wrong about this Sixers team because I was down on them coming into the year just because of the rumors of them wanting to trade James Harden. That finally transpired. But, I mean, they have some solid key pieces around Joel Embiid. And I know you and I last week talked a lot about Tyrese Maxey, and now he is already down to 2-1 to win Most Improved Player of the Year for this upcoming season.
I think that's what he needed. I mean, as you know, as bettors, we can sometimes underrate like the personal storylines because we're so busy looking at the numbers. And the 76ers might just feel much freer without James Harden hanging over their head and like what's going to happen, what's going to do. You know, this might be one of those things where we just see a more intact 76ers team knowing that this is the team they're going forward with.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I agree with you. I'm on the Sixers here as well. I mean, it seems like it is a big number, but again, like you mentioned, with them coming off of the back-to-back, playing one of the best teams in the Milwaukee Bucks in the East, projected to be at least. I know they took care of business handily. Maybe the Stars didn't play a lot of minutes last night, but I do expect the Sixers to come out and play well here, led by obviously Joel Embiid, led by Tyrese Maxey. We'll talk about some of the role players when we get to the player props here. But you have any thoughts on the total here at 215.5? Last game, these two teams matched up, finished up with 221 points.
I got to say, I've been so bad on total so far this season that I don't have a strong lean on this one. I do have a lean on a total for a later game, but I'm not feeling the total right now.
I think we're still gathering more as far as totals go, gathering more, data points and things like that. I mean, there's like a couple of teams that I'm just fading the hell out of, which is the Wizards are number one as far as defensively. But I think if I wanted to play some type of total, I'll probably look at the team total over for the Sixers in this game. They obviously have the rest advantage being at home. Um, I think they'll be playing with a lot faster pace here as well. With Tyrese Maxey and those type of guys in the lineup for the Sixers. Let's go over to some player props in this game. Tyler already pointing out the Dennis Schroeder double-double. He finished up with another double-double last night, and he also did have one in the matchup earlier this season with the Sixers. I think he had like 14 to 15 points, and he did finish up with 10 dimes. But any player props like in this game here, McKee?
Yeah. So I have Scotty Barnes in our fantasy league. As the fantasy league that you started this season, have him, and boy, I keep looking at my turnovers and they're so high, and guess what, it's from Scotty Barnes. He's been thrust into more of the facilitator role after Fred VanVleet has left at the beginning, before the season. And so I love his turnover props tonight. I bet it last night as well, and it hit over 2.5 turnovers. It's gone over every game but one. Like I said, hit last night. He had 3 turnovers last night, and one game he had 7 turnovers. So I think he's still just figuring out how to be in this facilitator role. So look for him over 2.5 turnovers again tonight. Like that a lot.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a great call there. He's also been rebounding the basketball very well. He's had at least 8 rebounds in every single game thus far this season, averaging 10 for the year. 3 out of the last 4 games, he's gone into double-digit rebounds for the Toronto Raptors. And the assists have been there for him as well, 5.4 assists per game. Trying to find what his rebounds and assists are going to be for this game. Trying to find the combo section here.
I'm looking at, in the chat, Nick Fortune said Scotty Barnes over 6.5 rebounds. Yeah, if he's averaging at least 8 rebounds per night, that sounds like a good player prop as well.
Yeah, I agree. His rebounds and assists for tonight are at 12.5. So I really do like that here for Scotty Barnes here tonight. One more I was looking at, I wanted to back Kelly Oubre in some way because, like I mentioned earlier, that he is going to be inserted into that starting lineup. He did finish that game with 15 points in that matchup against the Raptors earlier this week. But that was a game where he went 0 of 6 from three-point line. And we know that Kelly Oubre likes to chuck up the three-point ball. And I think he should bounce back nicely here tonight as far as knocking down some three-point shots. So Kelly Oubre was the other one I was looking at over 15.5 points in this game here. Anything else as far as player props here for you, Mickey?
Man, I like that suit for Tsunami Poppy right there. But I'm looking at OG Anunoby over 13.5 points. He's averaged 14.3 points so far this season. And he's scored nearly 15 points per game versus the 76ers in his career. So looking at OG Anunoby right now, over 13.5 points. But like I said, if I'm only giving one player prop from this game, that's the Scotty Barnes over 2.5 turnovers. But do like Anunoby over 13.5 points as well.
Love it. All right, before we continue the conversation here, let me quickly tell everyone about Hall of Fame bets. Hall of Fame bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL and NBA season with Hall of Fame bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, MLB, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bet's revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com and use promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. And we're also brought to you by DraftKings. Basketball is officially here. The wait is over for us NBA fans, and DraftKings has some great promos going on right now. So, first, if you bet $5 on any NBA game, you can win $200 instantly in bonus bets. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA is celebrating, like I mentioned, with an unbeatable offer. New customers, again, can score $200 instantly in bonus bets by throwing down $5 on the NBA. Now, the great part is, even if you win that bet or if you even lose that bet, it doesn't matter. You'll still get that instant bonus of $200 from DraftKings. And with DraftKings parlays, everyone's got a shot at an even bigger basketball win. String together multiple bets from the same game or build your own parlay across multiple games for a shot at making your payday even sweeter. Basketball is more fun when you're in on the action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code SGP. New customers can get $200 in bonus bets instantly for betting just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code SGP. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. Licensee partner Golden Nugget, Lake Charles, Louisiana. 21 years or older. Age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. All right, McKee, let's get into the next game of the night. Let's go over to New Orleans. We have both teams on a back-to-back here. The Detroit Pistons, they are going to be visiting the New Orleans Pelicans in the Big Easy. Currently, the Pelicans are sitting as a 7.5-point home favorite here with a total of 218. Both of these teams did play last night, so they are both on a back-to-back. And also, McKee, I should mention that there was a note that came across the Pelicans Twitter/X account that said that they had some mechanical issues with their plane. And they stayed in OKC last night, and they are flying back to New Orleans this morning. So, take that into consideration here for the Pelicans here. But currently, as I said,
both teams traveling still. So
yeah, but maybe Detroit got in earlier last night. But again, both in a traveling situation. Pelicans 7.5-point favorite here, McKee. What are we thinking?
Do we know if Brandon Ingram is coming back yet?
Let me see if I can look that up, because I obviously he was out last night, but I haven't seen anything about him playing tonight or even being ruled out yet. So I think that's still up in the air as far as him playing tonight or not.
So I was looking at both teams, how they did last season with no rest on back-to-backs. They're both about even against the spread as far as that game. But the one thing I did notice is that the Pistons last season, when both teams have equal rest, which would say is the case in this one, Pistons are worst in the league against the spread, 14-31-4, only covering at 31.1% against the spread. So, that I hadn't read that the Pelicans had mechanical issues and are only getting in today, but that makes me like the Pelicans more in this, even giving up the 7.5. Pelicans looked great last night against OKC, while the Pistons dropped to the Trailblazers last night.
Yeah.
Didn't look so great. And so, yeah, really liking how the Pelicans are playing so far with Zion. What are we thinking?
Yeah, I know the Pelicans got off to a rough start in that game against the Thunder yesterday. I think they were down. It was double digits for sure. I'm not sure if it got up to 20. They were down by 19 in that first quarter. Made a little bit of a run in that second quarter to trim the lead down to about less than 10 points. And after that, they just dominated the second half. So give them a lot of credit for battling back after a very rough start in that first quarter. But like you mentioned, right, Zion last night, a near triple-double, 20 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists for him in 33 minutes played. CJ McCollum and Jordan Hawkins were the two guys that played extensive minutes last night at 37 minutes apiece. And I was watching that Pistons game last night because I had them in the first quarter just fading the Portland Trailblazers, because Blazers in that first quarter this season are now 0-5 against the spread and 0-5 straight up. But after that, the Portland Trailblazers, especially in the second half, they made a run against this Pistons team. They outscored them 63-42 in that second half, where they got the 9-point victory last night. I'm not sure if Jalen Duren is going to be playing here tonight because he did miss the game last night. I believe he also has an ankle injury. And the rebounding just suffered last night for this Pistons team. I know Marvin Bagley stepped into that starting lineup, but it wasn't a great shooting night for Cade Cunningham. He was 11 of 27, did finish up with 30 points, but it took him 27 shots, like I mentioned. Killian Hayes, I don't know why he's still in the starting lineup. He was 0 of 6 last night. I really like the Pelicans at home. Um, bouncing back here tonight. We'll see if Brandon Ingram does play here tonight. But I'm comfortable with
New
the
Orleans
Pelicans
at
at home.
I was just gonna say New Orleans at
Go ahead.
home last season covered 56.1% of the time and 53% of the time as the home favorite. So I feel like coming home on a back-to-back, just that alone seems like such a benefit.
Yeah, I want to say Detroit last season. I mean, they were abysmal just overall with their record, but I want to see how they did against the spread as the away team. 19, 22, and 3 against spreads were about 53.7%. They were not covering. I'll lean here with the Pelicans. I feel like it's a bigger number. I think that if the Pelicans go off to a slow start, like they did yesterday against OKC, you'll probably find a better live number on the Pelicans here. But full game, I'll lean here with the Pelicans. Total sitting at 218. Anything for this one?
Again, staying away from that. I'm staying away from most totals until we get more information.
I'll lean with the under here. I think that defensively, we know the Pelicans can be really good. I know they're still missing some of their guys. I think Trey Murphy is the one that they are missing right now, as far as in their rotation. Obviously, Jose Alvarado as well. But when you have Herb Jones still out there, I think one of the more underrated defensive players in this league.
Mm-hmm.
Pistons do a great job of rebounding the basketball. We'll see if Jalen Duren plays here tonight or not. But again, I think that, something to keep in mind. Again, we'll see if Brandon Ingram is able to play here tonight. I think Nick mentioned that Ingram is a game time decision tonight. So if he does play, I would want to be on his player props here. So speaking of player props here, I'm not sure if I've seen anything listed yet. Yeah, there is something. Anything you like as far as player props here, McKee?
Yeah, looking at Zion right now. So I'm seeing his rebound prop at 6.5. I'm leaning towards the over here. He's averaged 8 rebounds a game versus the Pistons in his career. He's had 15 games in his career with no rest on back-to-backs, and he's averaged 6.6 rebounds in those games on the back-to-backs. So, not like way over the total there, but leaning that way. He had 10 rebounds last night, as you already mentioned. So he's gone over 6.5 rebounds, 2 over the 4 games so far. The other 2 games, he had 5 rebounds, so not too far off. So looking at his rebounds tonight.
Yeah, I was looking at Valanciunas' rebounds as well. He's had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 straight games against the Pistons where he's been in double-digit rebounds. His number right now is at 8.5. It is a little bit juiced at minus 135. But last night in 21 minutes, he grabbed 9 rebounds for the Pelicans. I think that in this game, he will play a lot more minutes because we've talked about with this Pistons team is that they have bigs down there with, Isaiah Stewart, whether it's Marvin Bagley stepping in tonight, if Jalen Duren's not able to play here tonight. So he should get the minutes here tonight against his Pistons front court. And like I mentioned, 9 rebounds last night for him. And on the season, he's only averaging 7.8. He did have 2 games where the first game of the season where he had 12 against the Memphis Grizzlies. Like I mentioned last night, he had 9 rebounds. I think we should see an uptick in minutes for Valanciunas in this game here tonight. So I do like the over 8.5 for Valanciunas in this game. Any other player props, McKee?
That's all I have so far that I was able to pull this early. But you mentioned Herb Jones, underrated. I feel like underrated by maybe like normal basketball fans, but definitely a favorite by basketball nerds already. And I'm not a huge pothead, but I do have a small bong that I've named Herb Jones, which I feel like it's. I got it last season, and I fell in love with him.
There we go. He is averaging 1.5 blocks per game. He's had at least one block in every single game thus far this season. So yeah, defensively, he is hopefully number one, he can stay healthy. And number two, him and Jose Alvarado, I think, are definitely one of the better defenders, if not the best defenders on this Pelicans team. So definitely look out for Herb Jones, maybe steals props or block props or steals and block combined props going forward. All right, let's go to the next game of the night here, McKee. We have the Orlando Magic. They are in Utah to take on the Jazz in Salt Lake City. Currently, Jazz are sitting as a 1-point favorite. Also seeing some pick'ems out there as well. Total is sitting at 221.5 in this game. Let's check the injury report for the Orlando Magic. Pretty clean injury report. Only two guys that are out are guys that are on two-way deals for the Orlando Magic. Utah did play last night where they absolutely throttled the Memphis Grizzlies by the score of, let's see here. I think they scored 130 last night, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was nuts. I thought that the Memphis Grizzlies might get their first win last night, and I was just totally wrong on that one. But whoa.
Yeah, 133-109 last night. The Jazz take care of business. Looking at some of the minutes played by some of their starters last night. So no starter played more than 28 minutes, which was led by Lauri Markkanen. Markkanen finished up with 19 points and 11 rebounds last night. They shot 54% from the floor, 51.2% from three-point land did the Utah Jazz. And talk about this Orlando Magic team, and they've been really good to me, especially in the first quarter and first halves of this season, because they've been leading in every single game they've played thus far this season in the first half. So I know we'll talk about full game here in a minute. I really do like the Orlando Magic in the first half. Utah, again, are on a back-to-back here. I like Orlando in the first half. Orlando with the rest advantage here. Obviously, with Utah on a back-to-back situation. Obviously, a no travel situation here because it is a home-and-home situation for the Utah Jazz. But I'm looking at Orlando here in the first half at least. Full game right now. It is -1 currently. McKee, which way are you leaning for this game?
I mean, I want to say the Magic, and I'm definitely betting them in the first half, as you said. But I mean, the Magic broke my heart twice in their LA trips. Like when they were playing the Lakers, when they had a rest advantage against the Lakers and they lost by 3. I think that it was like the spread was 2, and then they lost to the Clippers. I really like this young Magic team. They're really fun to watch. They're definitely one of my league pass teams. Keeping an eye on them. So I am leaning Magic +1, but I'm probably going to stay away from this side overall. And this is the one total I do really like. I like the under 221.5. The Magic are the 4th slowest pace so far this season. They have yet to play a game that's topped 220 this season. So that's and the Jazz are actually one of the bottom 9 slowest teams in pace as well. So liking that to go under. What do you think about that?
I love it because this team defensively, or the Orlando Magic. I did the pod on Tuesday with Terrell. We were talking about this Magic team, and at that time they were the number 1 rated defense in the NBA. Right, they dropped down to number 3 right now, but again, they're still up there as far as a top 5 defense. And you take a look at Utah. Through the first 5 games of the regular season, they are rated number 27. So they are the 4th worst defensive rated team thus far this season. So I think the Orlando Magic, like you mentioned, they're a great, fun, young team. I think they have the guys that can really lock in defensively like they have so far this season. And really put the clamps down on guys like the Jordan Clarkson of the world. And I think they also have the length where they can, really give guys like Lauri Markkanen a hard time. I think the one intriguing matchup in this game is going to be that front court of Walker Kessler going up against either Paulo Banchero or Wendell Carter Jr. So I think that's going to be a fun matchup to watch. And also the guard play for the Orlando Magic, right? Markelle Fultz has revived his career with the Orlando Magic. Jalen Suggs is starting to find his way as well. I think this is his 3rd season in the league. I know he's been dealing with some type of injuries
Anthony looks
as well.
Pretty good coming off the bench.
Exactly. Yeah. So keep an eye out for Cole Anthony.
Perfect, like micro
man.
score, like just
Yeah.
coming in 6-man. Yeah, great. It's great.
So, yeah, I'm definitely already bet the first half here for the Orlando Magic. I'm going to trust them full game in this situation as where right now you could get it at +1 for the Orlando Magic. And I agree about the under call here by McKee. Like I mentioned, the Magic are a very good defensive team. Maybe look at a Jazz team total under. Maybe they get some tired legs in the second half, being on a back-to-back. But yeah, agree about the full game under. Player props in this game, McKee, what are you looking at?
I didn't find any player props I'm in love with, but like you said, I'm looking to fade the Jazz scores because of the Magic's defense and this, also on a back-to-back for the Jazz. So definitely going to be doing more research throughout the day and probably going to be fading Jazz scores. Where are you leaning?
Yeah, I agree with you. I didn't have much as far as player props here. It's because for this Magic team, like it's been a different guy that's been stepping up for them like every single night. Like, I mean, you could go back to that Clippers game. Like, there wasn't a player that scored more than 15 points. And I think that's a good thing to have if you're, a professional
They
basketball
spread
team.
it
Is that
around for sure.
exactly? Yeah. So I think that just goes into your point of what you said about looking at unders for some of these guys, because maybe you get some inflated lines for as far as point totals and things like that. But if you could go back to the Lakers game that they played again, not a player had more than 17 points in that game, and that was the guy coming off the bench, and Gary Harris. Franz Wagner had 16 points in that game for them in the starting lineup, 14 for Markelle Fultz, 15 for Jalen Suggs. So it's balanced scoring. I think that bodes really well for the Orlando Magic and the players that they do have. So, like you said, I'll probably dig a little bit more into some of these player props for this Orlando Magic team, but nothing that was jumping off of the page for me. Utah side, they do have player props listed, but this could turn into a blowout in this game. And if you bet overs on player props, that's where they usually go to die. If you bet overs. Anything else for this game, McKee, before we get to the last game of the night?
That's all I got.
All right, let's get over to the last game of the night. We have the duplex, as McKee likes to call it, the San Antonio Spurs. They are staying in Phoenix. This is going to be the second game in 3 nights between these two teams. Right now, the Suns are a 8.5-point favorite with a total of 226. And we talked about it at the top of the episode that the Spurs in the final, I guess we could say 10, 15 seconds of that game were trailing. Yeah. I don't think it was somebody got a rebound and put it back up and in. And then they got the steal from Kevin Durant on the inbounds pass, trapped them. And then Keldon Johnson gave the go-ahead basket for the San Antonio Spurs. I say, literally, when we talk about stealing victories, that was what it was for the San Antonio Spurs. They got the victory in that game, 114-113. But currently, as it stands, like I mentioned, 8.5-point favorite for the Phoenix Suns, a total of 226. Let's check the injury report here for both of these teams. Pretty clean for the San Antonio Spurs. For the Phoenix Suns, Bradley Beal has already been ruled out, and I see Devin Booker as officially questionable here tonight for the Phoenix Suns.
Everything I'm seeing from the local guys here in Phoenix is saying Booker's going to be out a while longer. So,
okay. And then Damian Lee is the only one also that is out. He's recovering from surgery for the Phoenix Suns here. So, McKee, 8.5 here for the Phoenix Suns, man. This is your team. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a revenge spot for them. And I got this from the Action Network this morning. Since 2000, so I feel like this is a total schedule win for the Suns because since 2003, when teams play their opponent a second time in a span of 3 days during the regular season and our road and our favorites after losing the last game, they're 20-8 at home. 16-11-1 against the spread, and when the opponent is under 500, as we can expect the Spurs to be this season, the favorite is 11-7 against the spread. The Suns are going to be fucking pissed after losing that game. I think they're going to come out and just blow the doors off this young Spurs team. Suns last season, 55% against the spread after a loss, nearly 55% covering at home. And the Spurs after we're only 34% covering on the road last season. So really like the Suns to bounce back here. Clearly, I'm biased, but I feel like those numbers show the Suns for sure.
I agree. I think this should be a blowout spot here for the Phoenix Suns. I think Kevin Durant should be getting more than 19 shot attempts in a game because he only had 19 in the game last night, or sorry, the prior game against the Spurs. He did finish up with 26 points. And I mean, look, it was a team effort there because all 5 starters were in double figures in that game for the Phoenix Suns. But I just want to see just Kevin Durant just take over, man. Take 20, 25 shots a game. This guy, we know on any given night is capable of putting out 40 points in a game because he's just that type of scorer. He did play 37 minutes in that game against the San Antonio Spurs. But yeah, like you mentioned, this should be a pissed off Phoenix Suns team. I like the Phoenix Suns early again in this matchup in the 2 road games thus far this season for the San Antonio Spurs. They've been trailing by at least, I want to say, 7 points here. So in the game against the Suns were up 27-18 at the end of the first quarter. And then in their game against the Clippers in LA, the Spurs were trailing 23-17. So they were down by 6, and then they were down by 9 points in both of those games. So, and like you mentioned, like they're going to be coming out pissed off here because literally, like we mentioned, the Spurs stole one. So I expect them from the get-go, from the tip, to be playing well in this first quarter, first half. But I agree. I think this should be a spot where they do blow the doors off of the San Antonio Spurs. Total sitting at 226 here, McKee. I think the one total I would look at is probably a Phoenix Suns team total to go over.
Which it didn't last game, unfortunately, because I had it.
What was the number on it?
They missed it by 3 points. It was at 116.5.
Okay. Yeah, so they gave obviously the 114 to the Phoenix Suns, but then they gave up 123 to the Clippers. They gave up 122 to the Rockets. I know that game went into overtime, and their first game against the Dallas Mavericks they gave up 126 to the Dallas Mavericks. So I think I'll be going back to the Phoenix Suns. But do you have any thoughts on team totals or full game total here?
No vibes on totals right now. Staying away from them right now just because I've been losing them. But looking ahead to player props, really liking the Kevin Durant assists total right now. He has with no real point guard in the game for the Suns, the last 2 games, he's taken over as facilitator and has had 7 assists the last 2 games, had 7 assists on Tuesday night. You can get the over 5.5 at some books at plus money. So really looking at that right now. What are you thinking?
I love that. I was looking at his points and assists combined. That's at 33.5. But if you're telling me I can get plus money on a 5.5 right now at for Kevin Durant's assist. Yeah, I see plus 105 on DraftKings right now for his assist to go over. Do love that call. I think the one guy that's also stepped up in the absence of Bradley Beal and Devin Booker has been Eric Gordon. I don't know why I shied away from it last game to take the points prop on his over because I thought the market did adjust because I think it was at 16.5 in the game against the Spurs. But last game, like I mentioned, he finished that game with 20 points. He's also getting the shot attempts as well, right, in the absence of those 2 guys. So I don't see a number right now for it. If it's at the same number of 16.5, 17.5 for Eric Gordon, I think that's an opportunity for him to really help out with the scoring alongside Kevin Durant. Back-to-back games, like you mentioned, without Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, Eric Gordon has put up 21 points and then 20 points in both of those games. He's also getting the shot attempts as well. He's averaging 15 shot attempts per game here. Back-to-back games, he's got up 14 shots. And most of those are coming from the 3-point line for Eric Gordon. Last 2 games, he's knocked down 3 for 7 and then 4 for 9 for Eric Gordon. So that would be one way I'm looking at it. But I really do like your call about Kevin Durant's assists. I may just pair that with his points and take the over 33.5 points and assists combined for Kevin Durant here tonight. Any other player props?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Keldon Johnson rebounding. You can get the under 4.5 right now. I'm liking that because he only had 3 rebounds against the Suns. last game, and he's only gone over this twice this season. But it seems like he's trending down on rebounding as Wemby gobbles up more and more rebounds as he gets more and more comfortable. And Nurkic, for the Suns, gobbling up a lot of rebounds, had over 10 last game. So don't like it as much as the Durant prop, but if you're looking for a second prop, liking the Keldon Johnson under 4.5 rebounds right now.
Yeah, I don't hate that. Like you mentioned, Wemby getting more comfortable, at the NBA level, in the NBA game. I think that is definitely worth a look here. His
looked
rebounds
great last game overall.
Yeah, not in the first game I was watching just because of his debut, and he was in foul trouble in that game against the Dallas Mavericks. There's a couple of fouls that he got on illegal screens that he was called on offensive fouls. So I think that's an adjustment that obviously Coach Pop is going to work with him to get that fixed. His rebounds tonight, McKee, are at 6.5 for Wemby. Any thoughts on that?
I'll take the over. I mean, why not? Like, how many did he have last game?
I think he finished up with 8 rebounds in that game.
Yeah. I mean, he looks so much bigger than Nurkic last game, and which is just crazy. Like, that's the first full game of Wemby that I watched. I mean, I've obviously watched a lot of clips, but because he was playing the Suns' first full game, and boy, I mean, just looks great.
He's also had at least 4 turnovers in every single game thus far, and throughout the 4 games he's had.
One I was gonna say is you can maybe look at his turnovers prop, because I did bet the over 4.5 turnovers for the last game, and he hit that in the first half, I believe.
Yeah, right now it's at 3.5 at -175. So the books have definitely adjusted to that number.
Yep.
For Wemby, if you find alt turnovers, maybe you want to get that. You could obviously with reduced big on that. McKee, anything else for this game?
That's all I got for this game.
All right, let's do this. Let's put together a PrizePicks entry with some of our player props here for the Thursday night schedule. And then we'll get to our lock-in dog to wrap up the episode here quickly. So again, if you haven't already checked out PrizePicks, just go to PrizePicks.com and use that promo code SGPN. They will match your first deposit of up to $100. So again, check them out. PrizePicks.com/SGPN. McKee, let's do a 3-pick entry here for PrizePicks for tonight. I know we mentioned several player props that we do like here for tonight. Which one do you want to throw out for your first one that you really like for tonight?
Let's go with we both like the Kevin Durant assist prop, right? Over 5.5. Is that what it is on PrizePicks?
Yeah, let me find it right now. So over on PrizePicks for Kevin Durant, not listed. So maybe they're on to us.
Okay. What about the Zion? Zion over 6.5 rebounds?
Let's see here. Zion. Yeah, so they have Zion 6.5 rebounds. Let's go with that. I know we both like Scotty Barnes as well. How do we want to back him?
Rebounds again, maybe? What is he at for rebounds?
Scotty Barnes has 7.5 for rebounds.
He was at 8 so far. Is he averaging 8 this season?
Yeah, I think he was averaging 10. Let me quickly find it.
Oh, he's averaging 10, but he's had at least 8.
8 right? In every single game. Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, that seems like another good one.
Okay, and then let's see here, Scotty Barnes. Let's put that in. We'll go more on that, and then more on that, and then let's throw in one more for tonight. What did
you have that you really liked?
I know we mentioned the Scotty Barnes one. I agree about the Zion one as well. Do we just want to go all rebounds and take Wemby over 6.5 or higher 6.5 rebounds?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah, there we go. So a little rebounding.
Nice rebounding, yeah.
Yeah, entry here for us. So Zion, more 6.5 rebounds. Scotty Barnes, more 7.5 rebounds. And Victor Wembanyama, 6.5 rebounds. We're going to go with the more on that. So a $100 entry will net you a nice, tidy profit of $225. Again, go to PrizePicks.com/SGPN. Make sure to use that promo code SGPN. They will match your first deposit of up to $100. So hopefully McKee and I can put some money into your pockets. All right, McKee, let's wrap up this episode strong. Let's go with our lock and dog for this 4-game schedule on Thursday night. What do you got for the people?
I am going to go with my lock, Scotty Barnes, over 2.5 turnovers.
Okay.
It's like, I think a minus 145, so not great. But if you're asking me for a lock,
125 on DraftKings.
Oh, okay, great. So that's better. Like I said, gone over every game but one this season so far, being more of a facilitator. And I think on a back-to-back might be a little even more sloppy, right? Might be a little tired. So liking Scotty Barnes over 2.5 turnovers. What do you got for your lock?
For my lock, there's two ways I wanted to go here, but I think my more favorite one is the last game that we just handicapped, and I'm going to go with the first quarter for the Phoenix Suns in this game, and I'm trying to find the spread number on that. So it's -2.5 currently. I think they, again, like we mentioned, they're going to be pissed off about this game after the Spurs stole it for them, and like I mentioned, the Spurs in the first quarters. Outside of that first game against the Dallas Mavericks, have been trailing in that first quarter, and in both games on the road, have the Spurs, which was against the Clippers, and then against the Suns as well. So -2.5 is currently the number in that first quarter for the Phoenix Suns. That's going to be my lock for this Thursday night schedule. What do you got for your dog play?
For my dog, I'm gonna go with. Well, I mean, I guess technically, since Durant is at plus money for the over 5.5 assists, that's could be technically a dog. But let me go a little more dangerous and say I like the Magic to bounce back after 2 straight losses against the Jazz, having the rest advantage. I know it's hard to go into Utah and play, but technically they are a dog. On most books, getting +1. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with the Magic to beat the Jazz tonight.
I love it. Let's see here. I wanted to find an alt spread on the Magic, but it's funny that on a book on DraftKings that they're -2.5 Orlando Magic is only +105.
Yeah,
I don't like
not a
that.
big dog, but still a dog.
It's a little puppy dog, but you know what? Let me see. All right, we both like Scotty Barnes here tonight. Let's do Scotty Barnes double +215.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned like he's had double-digit rebounds in 3 out of the last 4 games. I know he fell 2 rebounds short against the Philadelphia 76ers. We know the points are going to be there for him. But I think that, again, he's when we talk about this Raptors team, they really don't have. I know they have Jakob Poeltl there, but rebounding has always been a question mark for this team. And I think Scotty Barnes is filling that role very, very nicely for this Toronto Raptors team. So he's had 3 double-doubles in 3 of the last 4 games, like we talked about. So at +215, I'm going to continue taking that for Scotty Barnes. So +215 as my dog for the Thursday schedule. Scotty Barnes double-double.
Great. Love it.
All right, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of the NBA Gambling Podcast. McKee, anything else you want to mention, my man, before we get out of here?
No, please just everybody watch the Steffi Small Show on YouTube and check us out on the podcasting platforms as well. I'm the producer on that show, and if you like football betting and fantasy, you're gonna love the Steffi Small Show, and often you'll see Munaf on there as well.
Yeah, 100%. I've been on there, I think, twice now with Steffi, and it's always a great time with Steffi. It's easy to talk to her. It's always a great conversation. It's a lot of fun. She has some great guests.
We're gonna have you on more. We've already talked about it. We're pushing to have you on most Fridays if possible, if you have the time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Do player props.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you guys have me, I will definitely be there. It's always fun hanging out with Steffi and just chopping it up about player props as well. So again, make sure to check out Steffi Smalls on her show. What time do y'all usually go live there, McKee?
We are noon Pacific time, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, 3 p.m. Eastern time, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. Yep.
All right, there we go. Before you guys get out of here, smash that like button for us on this live stream. And if you haven't already, subscribed to the NBA Gambling Podcast YouTube channel. Please go ahead and do so. If you haven't already left us a rating and review, whether you listen on Apple, whether it's Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, please go ahead and do so. We'll be back tomorrow for the Friday schedule. The first play-in tournament games happening tomorrow in the NBA. So we'll be chopping it up about that. Till then, good luck with your bets. Let's break these books off and let it ride.